Hi everyone, my name is Sharon Platt. I am one of the science tutors with the Student Success Commons. And in this video I'd like to go over the actions and some of the origins and insertions of the muscles of the trunk. So we'll use this little guy and a few other things to help us through this. Alright, so the first one is the serratus anterior. And that is this one here that looks like it's got a serrated edge. It goes back that way. So that is our hugging muscle. It helps us do this. And let's take a look on here because the origin is the first 9 ribs. And I'm not sure if I can hold this so you can see it right there. There's another muscle in front of it. That's a different one, but it's these right here, all of those. So the origin is on the ribs out here, and then the insertion, and this is a little tricky, so the insertion is on the vertebral border of the scapula on the anterior surface of it right here. This is also called the medial border. I had trouble figuring this out in the book, in the lab book, but this is the medial border, the vertebral border. So here's where your humerus is, so here's where your arm is. This is the back, the spine, this is the front. So if this is here, the origin is on the ribs out here, and then it comes around and back and attaches along here. Hopefully that makes sense. So the insertion's here, around to the front to the ribs is the origin. Alright? So if the insertion is going to pull toward the origin, it's going to pull the scapulas. It's going to abduct the scapulas. And I can't actually show you this is the motion, but if you do this, you can feel your scapulas are actually moving farther apart. They're abducting in your back. So that is your hugging muscle. Alright, and then we have the pectoralis minor, which is not on this little guy. That's the one in front of the serratus anterior on here. And let's see if I can hold this book upright enough. Okay, so it is right here, and it attaches on 3 ribs right here, and then it goes up and attaches to the coracoid process of the scapula. So it's like here and up to here. So the origin is on the ribs, and the insertion is on the coracoid process of the scapula. So insertion pulls toward origin. It's going to pull your scapula up over your shoulders. It's going to protract your shoulders up and over like that. Alright? It's pulling them from the back kind of up and toward the front. So that is the pectoralis minor. And then we have the rhomboideus. There are 2 of them, and again we cannot see them on the little guy, so I'm going to find them in the book here. Another page here. And they are right there. So they're attached to the scapula there and to the spine there. Let me look at the exact. Oh, we don't need to know origins and insertions. But you can see they're attached here and they're attached here, and they do the opposite of the serratus anterior. Serratus does this way, it abducts the scapulas. Your rhomboids do the other. They go back this way. They adduct the scapulas. They bring the scapulas toward each other and toward the backbone. Alright? So that is the rhomboideus, the rhomboids. There's a rhomboid major and minor, but we don't worry about that. We just do them as one, rhomboids. Then we have the trapezius. And this is an easy one to see on this guy. This is this muscle here on both sides. So it comes all the way down here, all the way up here, all the way up here. So you see it's kind of a, I guess it's a trapezoid, trapezius there. Alright, and this we do need to know origin and insertion. So it has 3 origins. The occipital bone up here, so it attaches back here on your occipital bone. And then the ligamentum nuchae, something like that, is this here. So the origin is up here and all down here. And then the spines, the spinous processes of C7 to T12. So it also attaches to your actual backbone from C7 down to T12 down there. All right, so most of the thoracic and one of the cervical vertebrae. All right, so that's the origin, is right down the middle here. The insertion is on the clavicle, acromion, and spine of scapula. Same thing as the deltoid. Kind of goes in a circle around there. It kind of comes, you see how this trapezius comes all the way over to here? All right, so the deltoid's attached on the underside of all three of those, and the trapezius is attached. There's clavicle, acromion, spine of the scapula. It's attached. That's the insertion point on both sides. All right, so what is this one going to do? This one does a lot of things because it's a very large muscle and has many different attachment points. So it elevates and depresses the scapula, your shrugged shoulders. It adducts the scapula, okay, because your insertion is going to pull towards your origin. So it's going to come this way. It's going to adduct your scapula, same as which other one? The rhomboids. All right, so center just there. And this part of it up here extends the neck because the insertion is pulling toward the origins there. All right, it's going to pull the neck back, extend the neck. That is the trapezius, and I guess this picture doesn't really add to it. So then we have another one on the back, which is the latissimus dorsi, and that's this one here, all the way down to here, all the way over here, up there, and under there. That's your latissimus dorsi. This is another one that has a lot of attachment points and a lot of actions. So the origin, again, is here in the middle. The spinous processes of T7 to S5, so it goes way all the way down to the bottom of the sacrum and starts about halfway up the thoracic vertebrae. You can see how it comes up to here, all the way down to there. That's one origin. And then the posterior iliac crest here on the hip bones, the back of the hip bones. And the lumbodorsal fascia, so the fascia that's in here. So those are the three origin points, basically down the middle and up here. All right. The insertion of this one is actually really interesting. It comes right up under here and inserts on the intertubercular groove of the humerus. This whole huge muscle has one insertion point on the intertubercular groove of the humerus. And the actions that this one does is basically when you're swimming and you're doing the backstroke, it's that. Or if you're standing at ease, it's those actions, which are a little hard to see. I'll back up a little bit. So it extends the arm back. It adducts, brings it together, and while it's doing that, it is medially rotating so that your hand winds up on your back like that. So, see if I can do this here. So it extends, adducts, and medially rotates, and you wind up with that motion. All right, does that make sense? So a lot of things to remember with that one. It does a whole lot in the back. And there is one left for the trunk, and that is the pectoralis major. and that is this one here. Now this one, the origin is up here on the clavicle, the sternum, and the costal cartilages of ribs 2 to 6, so down in here. So that's the origin all around here. And the insertion is on the greater tubercle of the humerus. So it actually inserts up here on the humerus bone. So the actions this one does, it's right here. So our insertion is going to pull toward our origin. So it is going to flex the arm. Remember, extend went back this way. So it's going to flex the arm, bring it forward like that, adduct, bring it closer to the body, and medially rotate again. So it's kind of the opposite of the latissimus dorsi. So you are flexing, adducting, and medially rotating. All right. And that is the muscles of the trunk.